Hazbin Hotel's 4th episode of Season 2 has been the highlight of the season for me personally. If you're both a Vox and Alastor fan, it had everything I and I'm sure many others had been waiting for since the series came into existence. From the two having a rematch in present day, fully animated, the story of how Alastor ended up in hell, and the reveal of what caused the rift between Alastor and Vox so many years ago. These two characters had my favorite dynamic of any other character pairings in all of Hazbin Hotel since the beginning, all the way back to the short comic series, but we never really knew the specifics on why they hated each other so much, outside of Alastor's quick lines in the Stayed Gone song, followed by a blink and you miss it picture in Season 1's finale where a CTR head Vox who had been cut out of the picture out of spite. Now we've got everything and then some. Let's discuss. Episode 4 is almost entirely from Alastor's POV, which felt a tad overdue in a sense. Obviously he's not the main character, but when compared to Season 1, Alastor's screen time in Season 2's first 3 episodes had been a lot less. But in fairness, he's been laying low intentionally, as the damage his chest and staff took from his fight with Adam have put him in a horrible mood, because it seems like his powers have been a bit nerfed as a result. It's been a whole month since the last extermination day, yet the wound on Alastor's chest still looks very fresh, further proving just how ridiculously strong Adam is and how Alastor was out of his league in that matchup. Retreating back then was the right call every time. With his patience wearing thinner by the second, all it took was some shit talk from Lucifer in the lounge room for Alastor to completely call it quits on the hotel for now. In his head, why stick around at this place he doesn't even really like that much deep down when he can't even use his powers to their fullest potential? So he heads down to Rosie's Emporium for a quick chat, only for it to be revealed Rosie is the one who's owned Alastor's soul this entire time. I imagine there were some people who predicted this because of how weirdly close they were, but I was not one of them. Season 1 was making it seem like all the signs were pointing to Lilith being Alastor's owner, as both of their disappearances happened around 7 years before the show started, as well as Lilith being one of the first sinners in all of creation, so if anyone was strong enough to own the soul of the radio demon, she'd fit the bill. So this Rosie reveal definitely subverted my expectations. Still too soon to say if it was for the better or worse though, I'll get more into that shortly. Rosie gives us a quick rundown of Alastor's life as a human before descending to hell. Honestly, his human design ended up being scarily close to a lot of the fan arts people drew of him prior to this episode. Only big difference I've noticed is his canon design's hair is a bit wavier as opposed to straight. Looks like he knew Mimsy when he was alive too, that's pretty funny. Alastor was, kind of living his best life in New Orleans, got his own radio show, handsome guy, and got to attend very exclusive parties because of his status. But this is Al at the end of the day. All it took was someone to spill some wine on him without saying sorry, and he'd end up ending their lives brutally. Alastor would continue to live out a double life as a serial killer for some time, eventually getting the idea to conduct a satanic ritual to contact demons from hell. Unfortunately for him, Rosie was the one to answer the call. They'd strike a deal with the conditions that once Alastor inevitably went to hell after death, because, duh, he'd be granted a lot more power than the average sinner off rip, which explains how he was able to become such a powerful overlord so quickly, as any time he was talked about by other characters, they couldn't understand how someone like him became an overlord so fast. Now we know. But this came with the conditions that he needed to do things for her in return, owning his soul until those debts were paid off. And funnily enough, he would die the next day after this deal was made because somebody mistook him for a deer in the woods. Rosie's always been one of the more mysterious overlords and has been to me, and funnily enough, I feel like these reveals about Alastor added more mystery to her in a sense. One of the big talking points with her character has been, is she a sinner demon or a hellborn demon? Still no outright confirmations within the show as of writing this video, but the fact that Rosie has the means to give that much power to another sinner has me leaning more towards the hellborn demon idea. I find it hard to believe another sinner, even someone as old as Rosie, has that much power at her disposal, but doesn't seem to do much with it outside of her own little cannibal community. Also, we don't really know why Rosie had Alastor go AFK for a bit. That's why I'm like, okay, the fact that they didn't reveal that feels a little weird, so that's why I'm a little bit on the fence of like, is this better than the Lilith twist or not? Obviously, Alastor can't stand being under her thumb for all this time, demanding more power and for his staff to be fixed. It is pretty funny how Rosie called out his arrogance for thinking he could take on Adam though. Like, bitch please, that's an archangel. This is followed by Rosie and Alastor breaking out into a swing song, basically telling Alastor to suck it up, fix this problem on your own. Alastor storming off all pissed, trying to think of a plan, which he does. Meanwhile, Charlie's been on the news with Nifty trying her best to bring some good publicity back to the hotel's way, as Vox and Velvet basically spent the entirety of episode 3 pushing an anti-hotel narrative so all the previous positive eyes the hotel once had can be on the Vees, which has been working out very well for them so far, as Vox is able to see how insecure Charlie is about wanting to succeed, so the harder she tries to go against him, the further down she falls into the traps he's setting for her. That entire interview with Katie and Tom did nothing but makes things worse. Even Nifty's solo song didn't help because her lyrics focused too much on on how gross the hotel looks. Side note, giving Nifty a Magical Girl style song with all Japanese lyrics in the second half, genius move. Since her VA, Kimiko Glenn, is half Japanese, she's fluent in the language and was able to put those bilingual skills to work here. Meanwhile, Alastor pulls up to V Tower and challenges Vox to a fight. Well, Vox and the rest of the Vees by extension. Can I just say how incredible Vox's fighting style is? Every move he makes, leaving behind strikes of lightning that are strong enough to leave craters in the streets. The explosiveness of it all is the best eye candy. On top of using the different wires he can spawn from his back in similar ways to Alastor's shadows, love it. Alastor's not doing the best holding his own against him though, as we can clearly see the damage he took from Adam is adding lots of lag to his powers activating. Vox even pointed this out. This allowed even Valentino and Velvet to get some hits in. That shot of Val running towards the camera whilst dodging Alastor's shadow tentacles might be my favorite animated shot in the entire season so far. Val's, quite the mixed bag in the fighting department, as he's not only a decent shot, but can hold his own in close quarters combat. While Velvet seems to harness her powers from all the feedback she gets on social media, turning votes on polls or upvotes on posts into physical objects like arrows, knives, or bombs. Very creative. The fight catches the attention of the news, which, causes Nifty to haul ass to pick up Husk so they can help Alastor fight. Husk and Velvet are about even, while Val is able to subdue Nifty after taking a couple stab wounds. Suddenly, Alastor gives Vox a proposition. If he agrees to let his minions run free and not lay his hands on Charlie, then Alastor will be Vox's prisoner until further notice. Naturally, Vox agrees to such a good-sounding deal, but we all know this is part of Alastor's plan, which I imagine is something along the lines of using his prisoner status to boost Vox's power so he can be considered the strongest sinner, thus freeing Alastor from his deal with Rosie. As for the not being allowed to touch Charlie thing, to be determined, not really sure what the plan is with that one. So while the first 3 episodes consisted of Vox, shitting on the hotel for a better business boost to Vox Tech, going on this public shaming tour with Alastor as his prisoner feels like the true Kickstarter to Vox's rise to power this season. Vox doing everything he can to milk as much satisfaction from this victory as possible because he's been waiting for this moment for the past 70 years. Like having a parade, making fun of Alastor on live TV, or forcing Al to watch he and Val have coitus. Not a fun time, but all part of the plan, I imagine. Yet Vox can't help but wonder why Alastor is willing to bend the knee so much for the Hazbin Hotel still. Alastor refuses to elaborate on his choices, but has no problem shaming Vox for the ones he's made, specifically his reliance on others to garner more power, using himself as Vox's prisoner as the most recent example of this, but especially his partnership with the other 2 Vees. It's ironic how Alastor of all people is saying this now that we know about his past with Rosie, because the only reason he got so strong so quick was because of a deal he made before he even came to Hell. This brother went into Hell with the one-for-all quirk while Vox was over here with Kaminaris. This discussion gets Vox thinking about the day he and Alastor had their falling out. At one point, the 2 of these guys had been close friends for a good while. At least Vox considered him a friend. Vox would nervously propose a partnership idea to Alastor only to be laughed at mercilessly. Alastor calling Vox a pathetic weakling who needs him to succeed and how friends in Hell don't exist. It was honestly kind of jarring to see even a past version of Vox acting this nervous and vulnerable. I've always seen him as this extremely charismatic guy who, while is very insecure, it was probably rooted from this specific talk with Alastor. So to have that person you idolize completely shit on your existence like that, it's understandable why Vox would crash out so intensely and continue to hold this grudge for Alastor all these years. While Alastor is technically right, Vox relies on others more than he does, Alastor is projecting a bit whenever he brings this up too. It's just Vox doesn't know he's projecting since Alastor's deal with Rosie seems to be one of the more kept secrets in Pentagram City. Oh yeah, we learned Vox's real name is Vincent too, almost forgot that. Cool name, quite fitting. Back in the present, the episode ends with Vox doing his own rendition of Rosie's Don't You Forget song with some nods to Stayed Gone in there, trying to prove to Alastor he doesn't care about their failed partnership anymore, but the fact he's even singing in the first place is low-key proving Alastor's point that he does still care.
You two should just fuck already. What? Am I wrong? And can I film it?
Let me know what you thought of these 2 twinks backstories in the comments below. Is it everything you've hoped for, or were you expecting some more? Hey, the season ain't over yet though, so maybe we could get more. Like, subscribe, all that if you enjoyed the video, but for now, I will see you guys next time. Peace out, take care, bye-bye.